So
Okay,
welcome everybody to this session, very exciting roundtable on artificial intelligence entitled Unleashing the True Potential of Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare Together. So obviously lots of messages in that title which we'll be unpacking over the next hour or so. We have with us virtually, on the top left-hand corner, we have David Della Monica, Head of Value-Based Partnership and Digital Health for Amgen. We have here to my left, Jean-Marc Bourrez, Managing Director of EIT Health France. We have Frédéric Jean, who is co-developer at the Digital Medical Hub at the Assistance Publique des Hôpitaux de Paris.
absolutely.
And he is in the, yes, he is bottom right on the screen for our audience here. And we also have the pleasure of welcoming Stéphane Tollander, who is CEO and co-founder of Cybeltech, a startup developing AI solutions for kidney transplants, which we'll be hearing about later on. And we also have Henrik Matthijs, who is Managing Director of the Health Innovation Hub in Germany, who has just raised his hand, and he is in the top right hand for the members of the audience. And then last but not least, as they say so many times in presentations, we have Stephanie Trong, who is Managing Director for AI for Health Initiative at the startup Inside. So hi, Stephanie,
Hi.
who is the bottom left-hand corner there. And then we have also on stage Nicolas Villain, who is from Philips, running an AI initiative in Philips, and we'll hear not only a film from Nicolas, but we'll hear you and we'll access your comments on the videos. So yes, highly complex subject this afternoon. Goals of various stakeholders perhaps entwined somewhat, but one thing is for sure, we've just scratched the surface in terms of benefits to the healthcare system. We're well beyond the experimentation phase. We're into implementation, and the potential, I think we'll all agree, put up your hand if you agree, the potential is enormous. We have the audience reacting as well, yes, okay. So first of all, David, we need a sort of general introduction to the subject. We need you to give us some context. You are the founder of the European AI program for Amgen called DEEP, so well positioned to give us some background. You know, what do we need to know as an audience before we take a deep dive into this very complex subject?
So guys, thank you very much to give me the opportunity to present today with this great audience. So with humility, I'm not really the expert. I think all the people in this room are the experts. So let me start with some general comments. In fact, everybody knows that artificial intelligence is a multidisciplinary field of science that makes machine more intelligent. And in fact, we believe that AI will be a force multiplier of technological progress in our increasingly digital, data-driven world. And I think, and we think, because everything around us today is ranging from culture to consumer product, is a product of intelligence. So artificial intelligence is a multi-dimensional partnership environment, in fact. So I will just explain three aspects of this. The first one is research. In fact, research are exploding in the field of artificial intelligence. Just this year, I think it's an AI moment with more than 21,000 papers just in 20 in fact. So it's huge in fact. But research is not the only way for artificial intelligence. And most of the people that we have in this group, like Philips, like many startups, in fact, we have also an industrial aspect of this artificial intelligence in healthcare. So just this year, in 2020, this is the first phase 1 of a clinical trial of a full AI design drug beginning in Japan to treat patients with OCD. This is a clinical trial from Recursion. So you see that it's really moving from something that is very research to something that is extremely concrete, in fact. And we see prediction of outcome in partnership with many startups, university, industrial partner, and we see a lot of consortium that are now creating some beautiful project like Melody with Okin and Meteor with a large bunch of pharmaceutical company and startups. Now, just to keep in mind that nothing is perfect, in fact. We need some support from political environment to make sure that the regulatory environment is designed, in fact, to accept this AI environment. So we see new international guidelines that are drafted for clinical trial protocol, like the Spirit AI and report of Consort AI, that are involve AI system to build to improve both quality and transparency. And for sure, you have players like the EITLs, and I'm happy today to be again with Jean-Marc Bourrez, because EITLs is playing a huge role as an advocate, in fact, for startups to use artificial intelligence, but also to advocate for better environment, to get access to data, to have a better regulations where we can bring some novelty. Now, in terms of perspective of AI in industrial world, I think there is still some questions. Validation of AI business model, I think it's critical. We need to access to venture, and yesterday we have this fantastic news of this new VCOE. So the new VCOE will help to bring some venture, some funding to such type of project. Now we need also to think about reimbursement. We have in this group Siblitech, just to get one, what is possible, in fact, to get in terms of reimbursement for AI. So I think with this, it's a huge subject. I will not cover everything, but I think the best is to listen from all these great people. I'm very curious to listen what Philips is doing. I love the video that they provide in terms of artificial intelligence for day-to-day business, improving mammography. But the next phase of helping physicians to identify the right patients, to improve diagnosis, is really a long way to go.
Thank you very much, David. Jean-Marc, MD of EIT Health France. Yeah, a huge advocate of artificial intelligence, right? Maybe a few opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I do believe that to concretely accelerating the artificial intelligence-based solutions on the market, we have to act concretely on different manner and different ways. So from EITL's perspective, we have to support our members. I mean, they are our industrial partners and academic partners to make it happen by being able to, at first, developing the access to talent, because we will have to face in the following decades a talent crunch to get access to data scientists and software developer and some scientists that are able to make it happen in Europe. Second, the access to market. So accelerating the access to artificial intelligence-based solutions mean that we have to consider the reimbursement pathway and facilitating the evaluation pathways to enhance the access to market of such AI-based solutions on an affordable way to bring AI-based solutions to patients and citizens, and regulations as well. So we have to concretely help our partners to at least to decrease the administrative burden to getting access to cross-border, quite easier regulation pathway to accelerate the market access of AI-based solutions. And last but not least, the access to finance. So David just talked about the venture company, new venture company, but as well the industrial partners, and access to finance is critical. So we have to support as well our partners and the startups by being able to bring together alongside the European Commission, the European Investment Fund, the IT Health, access to grants, subsidies. And on my left, we have a startups that has been supported by IT Health, thanks to some specific accelerator program, but as well access to equity financing, thanks to the Venture Center of Excellence we officially launched yesterday. alongside the European Commissioner and the European Investment Fund colleagues, and access to as well the guaranteed loan. So for companies, being able to access to a mix of financing is critical to make it happen in Europe compared to the US-based company that are accessing to too much more money to develop themselves in the US market. And if you allow me, I will raise some other items later on if you agree, because I have something more to add.
I'm sure you have. Frédéric Jean, right in the front line, the Assistance Publique, the Hôpitaux de Paris. What's your perspective on artificial intelligence in your context?
Thank you for the invitation first. So I speak for the Digital Medical Hub, APHP. It's a pretty new open innovation platform at the APHP. Our role is to evaluate and experiment in a real life condition the value proposition of the health tech solution. So AI and data, in our perspective, can contribute in many ways to an effective healthcare system. So first, by allowing for preventive care, for sure, by targeting efficiently a risk patient and population. Analytics-driven preventive care can drastically improve patient outcomes. In a second aspect, by offering tailored treatments, using data, we have the ability to select treatment based on individual characteristics with more precision than ever before. This allows for precision care, which ultimately improve patient well-being and system costs. Last point is AI-assisted diagnostic can improve system efficiency and provide solution in place where limited medical resources are available via three main aspects in our point of view. First, release time for analysis and decision making. The multiple decisions that a doctor, nurse, or administrator have to make in one day, having an initial orientation is a stress saving. So at DMH, we use questionnaire to evaluate cognitive savings made with artificial intelligence. A key point is cognitive savings in decision making. The first thing to note, however, is that artificial intelligence must remain an orientation with human control over this decision. Another point for us very important is securing of the decision through the more massive use of information. Go looking for 10, 15 data instead of 3 and bring out the weak signals. AI allowing in a shorter time to analyze more information. Then we prefer the wording augmented physician instead of artificial physician, or augmented intelligence versus artificial intelligence. And the third point, which is very important in our point of view, is to accelerate this dissemination of knowledge and expertise through healthcare networks. For example, in the case of new emerging pathologies, augmented intelligence can be a key driver to enable less well-trained, less experienced practitioners to access management and diagnosis more easily. With all these points, we are working to improve the system with artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Frédéric. Now we turn to Stéphane, co-founder of Cybeltech, startup developing AI solutions for kidney transplants. How do you see AI? Well, you see it every day, I can imagine.
Yes, and actually, we get used to it in our daily jobs. So for us, AI, it's just what makes our product happen. But now we have a lot of challenges ahead from the regulatory standpoint to the market access, as you said. And the more we progress, the bigger the hurdles are. We thought at first that access to data and to intellectual property was the biggest hurdle. Actually, it's not. It's really getting the visibility into a robust business model based on reimbursement. That's the biggest challenge I think we face, because as Jean-Marc said, To get financing, we need to have a clear path to revenue, and to have that, we need the public bodies to give us the clear insights on what will be the schemes of reimbursement for our kind of solutions. So that's the biggest hurdle we have. And the second one maybe is adoption. Because even if your AI algorithm can predict whatever it can predict, if people don't want to use it, or are afraid of it, or you cannot connect it to EHR systems, then it's useless. So education and interoperability are the two main challenges we also face.
Right. We can now turn to Stephanie Trang, Managing Director of the AI for Health initiative at Startup Inside. So what's your take on AI? Hear you. We can't hear you yet.
Yeah, it's normal.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here talking about AI, which is the topic that I am heading since 2018. Now, at AI for Health, the ecosystem initiative that I'm leading, we have like hundreds of members from the public and private sectors. I agree a lot with what has been said about AI adoption, about who is paying what, business model, and every topic that has been mentioned earlier from the speakers here. So I'm happy to present also the initiative AI for Health that is gathering private and public sectors from pharmaceutical companies, medical device companies, startups, hospitals, patient association. We don't have to forget them, of course, tech provider, academician, and institution. So we would like to decrypt the usage of AI, which is a kind of, we want to be more focused of the adoption of the AI technology, decrypting the usage of this technology through several events that we organize, use cases. Also for the healthcare professionals, but not only patients. We have also some topics about public affairs and the consolidation of the business model. That's the three missions that we have at AI for Health. We do that through three pillars. Events. We will organize a big conference on that topic November 10th. So I hope that all of you can connect to our conference shortly in November 10th. Also, we want to make many connections on this topic. And as we earlier say also, we want to, by other speakers, we want to consolidate the business model. How? Mapping the use cases in that topic. I think that the more we will show about who is doing what, mapping all the use cases, the maturity in AI adoption by private companies also, the links they make with startups also, that can be very interesting for the ecosystem. And because we really believe that to accelerate the use of this technology, of also all the problematics that we have, the problems that we have around this new technology and how it's transformed the healthcare industry, we believe that the more people we can onboard in working as an ecosystem, the more efficient it will be. Just one example of the COVID. Of course, we will talk about COVID in healthcare, in AI for Health. There were so many initiative alliances that have been made with many competitors, like Malady Coronavirus, with many pharmaceutical companies that have been worked together despite their competitors, and it has been a very efficient project. So we believe in ecosystem, and we believe that AI is a real leverage to accelerate the transformation of healthcare professional day-to-day job, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. A transformational agent. Could we now turn to Henrik? Now, you are obviously right in the center of what's happening in artificial intelligence at the moment. You're the managing director of Health Innovation Hub, which is a think tank in Germany, inspiring partner for the German Health Service. But you're also the founder of 2 startups, so you have several hats in this particular subject. What opening remarks would you like to make about artificial intelligence?
Thank you very much for having me. A lot of very relevant points have been made, and I don't want to repeat them. I just want to add the regulatory perspective here, representing a bit the German Ministry of Health in this discussion. So the 2 questions any regulator will have on AI in healthcare is, first, is it safe? And second, does it improve outcomes? And these questions are a bit tricky in AI, because if it's a true artificial intelligence, if it's a self-learning algorithm that at some point of time you cannot really understand from outside, and that is trained on specific data, it's quite tricky to understand, first, are there any biases in that specific data set that have not been controlled? And B, what is the true outcome if it's applied in the medical practice outside the specific environment of the company that has developed it? So that is something that for me is not solved yet in AI in healthcare yet. What ideally we would need is an institution on a European level that has a large-scale representative data set and that can validate any of the given AIs to make sure that all biases are controlled and that the solution is really working in medical practice, not just on specific data sets. So maybe adding this perspective here from a regulatory perspective.
Thank you, Henrik. And so we can see that with what the panel has said so far, that it's obviously an area which attracts a lot of startups, but also big companies like Philips. And so I'm very happy to have Nicolas beside me. We've actually filmed Nicolas, so we're going to look at the film first and then ask Nicolas to make some comments, and then we'll ask the panel to see what they think of what's happening with Philips at the moment. So video for Philips.
In Philips, we are active in a lot of areas in healthcare, in particular in imaging. And for medical imaging, we develop AI solutions across the complete process. For instance, with cameras embedded in MRI systems to detect the position and the breathing cycle of the patient so that the exam is right from the first time and synchronized with the breathing. And 2 tools that will help doing automated analysis of images to either do measurements or detection of lesions, for instance, in the images to support the radiologist or cardiologist. The AI tools that we develop are aiming at improving the healthcare system on different axes. Some of them are really to just improve the workflow or saving time or avoiding waste in the system, for instance, by making the exam right from the first time, but also to support the radiologists when they read an exam so that they save time by automating measurements and detecting lesions for them so that they can really focus on more complex cases. And here, it's already a big help for the system. That's why those tools are more present and are easier to validate and to be accepted by the user. We also want to improve the outcome for the patient and the management of the patients in different pathways, like in oncology or cardiology. And for that, you need more advanced AI tools that can do outcome prediction or stratification. And those tools are much more difficult to validate first, but also to trust by the user. Because if you base a decision like a therapy selection for a patient based on those tools, you need to have a lot of evidence, a lot of validation, but also make sure that your patient fits with the basis on which the tool has been trained. So for us, that's one of the biggest challenges.
Very interesting. So what do you think the key factor is to unleash the potential of AI?
I'm not sure we have a single answer to that. There will be many axes to improve. So I agree also with the comments that were made before. The hurdles become bigger and bigger when you progress and you want to go to the ultimate goal to have outcome prediction, improvement of the outcome for the patient, and reimbursement associated to that. But maybe we need to start with more practical use of AI in the daily practice, to experiment with that, also in cases where indeed the clinician or the decision can be explained and the final decision is still in the hand of the user. So in that case, you have, I think the claims are lower and the boundary to accept it are also lower. You can always check, you save time, you can also improve if you are less experienced, I don't know, radiologist. In some unusual cases, you may have a second opinion from the AI. So those cases will be much easier to bring to the market and be accepted. And over time, if we build, as we heard before, larger database on national scale or European scale, maybe we will have a benchmark to validate more ambitious AI tools. So there's a path. I think we only started the journey, but there's much more to do.
Reactions from other members of the panel?
Well,
Stéphane.
Well, first, congratulations for this great work, and I'm sure you are helping physicians a lot with this type of tools. And I totally agree with the fact that as long as we give physicians the power to decide what they should do from this information, then we are fine, and we can. It's maybe the first step for this type of solutions, but then when it will be automated, then it will be way harder to get validation and trust from physicians.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
I
I think I'm curious to understand what Philippe is doing, in fact.
Technobricks are amazing technobricks from AI perspective. I mean, the more important thing is how do we serve the unmet medical needs on the market at first.
Totally.
So clearly,
Yeah.
if not, you will never ever have any chance to get access to the market. And second, I do agree with Henrik Matthias from a regulatory perspective. We have to try the best way to mitigate the different regulatory pathways in European countries. And here we are able to make concretely progress EU member states per EU member states. And I will raise this item later on.
So who would like to make a comment? David?
Yes, I think I'm curious to understand this. In fact, Felix bring this operational aspect of artificial intelligence. I think it's quite unique because, again, bringing some aspect of modification of outcome will necessitate more time, in fact, to make sure, as my colleague explained, we need to make sure that the system are validated in a right environment. Now, I think it's a phase. And I'm curious to understand what Philippe is doing, for example, in cardiovascular, how concretely it's happening in Philippe's business model, in fact. How you define value when you implement an artificial intelligence that has the power to change or to help this augmented physician, in fact.
It's a good question. So we use internally what we call the quadruple aim. So we want to improve the outcome, maybe that's the longer term, but also more directly the experience of the healthcare professionals or the experience of the patient, but also the cost for the healthcare system. So we try to keep this equation, balanced, because it's also, AI has a great potential because it's a lot of software. So people think it's it should be free, maybe in some cases, or it doesn't cost anything, but the cost to develop and to get the validation and is very high. So those tools come closer to drug development. So the cost is more in the validation. So for us, we try, we are not indeed a pharma company, so we start more from a medical device industry where indeed the class of device or what are the claims you want to make in your systems depend, or let's say the claims will impact how much it costs to validate and to bring to the market. So the trade-off is indeed how much the users are ready to pay for it, and sometimes they are not really ready to pay. So it's also part of education. Another approach is also to team up, because we cannot develop everything ourselves. So that's another approach. Maybe we'll discuss that. Having a marketplace of applications, because there will be so many, we cannot do that ourselves. So you need to balance what we do ourselves, what we take from partners, as always to be driven by the cost for us to bring to the market and the value it brings to the users and the benefit then they expect from that. So it's a hard choice, but it's not a simple answer.
No, it's not impossible. The idea, if I reason, it's moving from promise to proof. In our scientific mode, like we have in health, only the proof counts. So we work only with evidence-based medicine. The difficulty is today we see a lot of great technologies that bring absolutely nothing to clinical or health management. So to go deeper into the clinical and medical economic value proposition of the solution, we need to monitor and evaluate the concrete contribution of the solution in the field, in real life. For example, by comparing the traditional and existing pathway to a new clinical workflow supported or optimized or improved by the innovation purpose. So it's a way to bring value into the system.
Henrik?
It has been said already on the panel that one of the challenges is that physicians or clinicians are always afraid of being replaced. And I think it's key to have a step-by-step approach here. At the beginning, AI in the medical practice, in broader fields, will be only supportive. And the challenge right now is probably also in other countries than Germany that simply there's no budget really for such a technology, although it of course brings a lot of value. I mean, taking the example of Philips, if you can check that you as a clinician, as a radiologist, you don't have to check all the mammographies itself, but only the ones that have a high probability of cancer. That brings tremendous value to the clinician's work. It saves a lot of time and also improves probably substantially the quality of the positive cancer cases being detected. So that's absolutely no question. The question is, how do we get it in the system? And I would very much argue for a step-by-step approach. First, being supportive or offering the technology to physicians, clinicians that simply don't have any other access to experts in this field. So if you go to remote areas, for example, to regional clinics that would not even be able to afford radiology, this could be of a first implementation phase there to show that also they now can do some of that kind of work. But what I see very much crystallized in AI for healthcare is the hardest challenge, the toughest change is not really centered around technology, if it's working or not, but in the role model of the physician and clinician. For very long, the physician had been the white eminence. He holds the one truth. But suddenly there's technology that may have a different answer to the question. And this is probably the trickiest bit, how to convince key opinion leaders, how to convince clinicians that this is not a threat, but very in contrast, it's making their work better. It's supporting them, it's focusing them on the really difficult decisions and it's also something that can be reimbursed. I think these two are the challenges. First, there's no budget really for it, and second, the role model of physicians are very much challenged, and how to get them step by step to a world where it's absolutely normal to use technology to make a better job with their radiology or any other medical practice.
Totally, and focusing on where they can add value. Stephanie, any comments?
Oh yes, so it's difficult to speak after all these comments already. But what I will say is that I really agree about the fact that AI will radically change the usage, the paradigm into the day-to-day jobs of healthcare professionals. Because it supports them, but the thing is that radiologists, cardiologists, or I don't know, all the healthcare professionals, they comes to the question of the adoption. Again, I will talk about that a lot because it's really important, I think, because now they don't get the adoption also because they don't have time to do it, even if it can save their time. If I talk about radiologists, it's easy because from my point of view, radiologists are more, they are used to use technology already since ever, because they work with lots of technical devices since years. So there's a lot of work to do in that topic, in that way, and also on who is paying, because already the healthcare system is not homogeneous. The healthcare system is not ready also to pay other things apart from Hospital Care Act in France, actually. So who, the healthcare professional also, who is doing the business model? The patient who is ready to pay for a good diagnosis today. So there is a lot of problematics, I would say, and also
Right.
I would end by the cost of having a good data set. And I'm finished.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie. We're now going to turn to another series of videos which are from 3 startups, Implicity. We're going to hear from Arnaud Rosier, who is the CEO of Implicity, which is a company that does connected pacemakers. We're going to look at Quantmetry and listen to Carl Neuberger, who is a partner helping doctors access and use data better. And also Sophia Genetics with Philippe Menu, who is the Chief Medical Officer and is involved in, of course, this data-driven medicine. So we're going to now look at this video and get the comments from the panelists afterwards. So video.
So at Implicity, we already provide the cardiologist with a platform that gathers all the data from pacemakers and other connected devices in cardiology. The first AI we develop is a productivity AI that helps healthcare professionals to triage all the data that come from such devices. The second kind of AI we develop is prediction AI that helps basically to predict adverse events in cardiology in order for the physician to prevent them.
Today, I wanted to talk about one solution, which is called Onconum, and which is a data platform that we are building in order to help doctors and pharmaceutical players extract all the value of real-world data from hospital data, notably.
So Sophia Genetics is a health tech data analytics company. We're active in oncology, rare diseases, and other hereditary disorders. So our mission is to democratize data-driven medicine. We started in 2011 by helping the new NGS sequencer users to compute their genomic data. And so we built an artificial intelligence powered platform that helps digitize and analyze the NGS data, if you so want. Today, our solution in genomics analysis are used by 1,000 clients, which are either hospitals or laboratories in over 85 countries. And they essentially use it to compute their NGS data today. What we're then building on top of that platform is new data stacks. We have a big activity in radiomics, which is turning radiological images into data in the context of cancer care. And so now what we're doing is we're deploying these data stacks on top of our platform so that you can combine genomics, radiomics, and clinical information into a high quality, secure platform that's in the cloud, and help explore those data stacks to find signatures that can predict disease evolution and or response to therapy.
So right now, we already know that remote monitoring of patients with devices, implantable devices in cardiology, decrease mortality by 40%. The main problem is adoption by healthcare professionals. And one of these issues is basically because they don't have time to process all the incoming data in order to have all their patients enrolled in this system. So that's basically a scalability problem. So that's where productivity AI comes into place. And of course, prediction AI on the second stage improve outcomes of patients because of new capabilities.
So our solution really helps at helping healthcare players accelerate the time of research and dig into all the hidden treasures of past data. So we developed this solution after 4 years of research and development with Strasbourg's University Hospital, and we are now able to use both structured and unstructured data, such as multidisciplinary meeting notes or even medical imaging. And to give you one example, we have been able to help analyze 15,000 breast cancer records after a 20 years follow-up, and publish 8 scientific papers on different studies after just 2 years of using this technology. And now we are also helping pharmaceutical actors use this solution via Quantmetry as a trusted third party in order to help gain and extract all the value from this real-world data.
First, we help compute high complexity information like genomics data with a high degree of quality. Second, we generate new insights from existing data like radiomics based on radiology images where the data is not being used to its fullest potential today. And then third, we are combining this data to create new insights that do not exist today.
So I think one of the limits, of course, is the regulation, because most of the AI in healthcare is a medical device software. So that's fine. We just need, to industrialize it. But at some point in Europe, compared to FDA clearance, things are different. So that's probably the first thing we need to address: to what extent the CA regulation right now is appropriate for going to the market. And I think the second highest barrier is about monetization for innovation in healthcare. When you provide multiple benefits for patients, for hospitals, for physicians, in terms of time spent, etc., sometimes it's difficult to choose which kind of value you want to monetize, and it's a long run in order to get to the access to the market and get access to reimbursement. So I would say overall, the problem with Europe is we don't have a homogeneous market. So most companies need to go straight to the US. And that's probably some opportunity we miss for domestic startups and innovation we have here.
First limit is, of course, the legal process. It took us more than a year between the moment we had the idea of this project and the first line of code that we were able to write, because we need to have all the authorization from the French CNIL, also inform the patients, and it's a process that can take some time. And I think one of the other limit is also sometimes a certain lack of familiarity with what an AI project is and how it can be led. And this is something that can also slow down certain projects. And this is why at Quantmetry we have been built in order to train and evangelize key opinion leaders and also key stakeholders in order to know what an AI project is, how we can use it concretely, and also be more acquainted with all the potential that is behind AI. And one other accelerator that we believe is really important is also all the projects that are able to accelerate the access to medical data. One example is that we are working now with the French Health Data Hub, which is really an excellent initiative in order to accelerate access to healthcare data. And it is something that we believe is really vital, because if we don't do it, we will be working tomorrow on the algorithm that will be trained on the medical data coming from the US or from China. And it's really a pity, because we have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. So this is really something we should focus on.
On this multimodal aspect of combining data to generate new insights, there's definitely a big focus for us today on generating the evidence to demonstrate clinical utility. I think that's the core focus. A second downstream focus will be on how do we make physicians comfortable in using these AI-based tools to help predict either disease evolution or treatment outcomes. And I think there's a lot of education to be done around what AI is and what it can and cannot do. And probably that will go through a new class of physicians that are also more digitally educated from the start of the studies as well, in making good use of these tools in the future.
Great. So a lot of information, a lot of very concrete solutions coming through and being implemented as we speak. So I just a quick around the panelists, just a quick reaction to it. You know, what would you say, given all that information that we just had?
Yeah, so at first there is significant expectations from the panelists and the CEO of amazing, promising startups. The first key element is actually regulation.
Totally.
Regulation.
Regulation. We need to work together. There's no doubt about it.
So on this matter, I would like to emphasize some specific improvement within the European Commission in the following future regulatory science to 2025 within the EMA. So this is a huge plan that expects to put in place more easy regulation pathway for all the EU member states. So the starting point is actually the USA, as usual, I would say. So as you know, the FDA has recently launched the Digital Health Center of Excellence, which is a bit different from the Venture Center of Excellence, actually, to modernize the digital health policies and regulatory approaches, providing efficient access to highly specialized expertise, knowledge, and tools to accelerate access to safe and effective digital health technology. So what does it mean? Safe, again, AI-based solutions has to prove that from a CE mark perspective or from an ADL 900 KA certification pathway, that the solution is safe for patients. And from a liability perspective, it's safe for the healthcare professionals to enhance and to guarantee the solution adoption by the physicians. Second, effective. So it has been already raised. So it's actually based on evidence-based medicine. So you have to prove that from clinical outcomes or patient outcomes, the solution is delivering concrete outcomes for the healthcare system, sustainability, delivering savings, cost savings for the healthcare systems, and on the top of that, delivering concrete outcomes with a primary endpoint on mortality rate, as an example, of secondary endpoint. So this is obviously a key gesture from the FDA, and the European Commission decided to establish something similar, but not on a transverse or transnational domain. So it's per therapeutic area rather than stage of procedure. So in the US, the Digital Health Center of Excellence will go through pre-submission scientific advice, getting access to innovation task force, market access, and technology evaluation and post-authorization. In Europe, the main goal is to get access to such agency experts with specific support, but per therapeutic area, which makes sense due to the fragmentations of the healthcare organization in Europe. Second, it's about the education, and it has been already raised by the panelists and the startup CEO guys. Education is crucial. and we have to help and to support the healthcare professionals to develop the adoptions of such solutions. So concretely, what we will do in the following years within the ITLs at least, so on behalf of the ITLs and our members, we will act concretely to make it happen. We decided to launch a one-year deep dive explorations in all EU member states to identify the key assets, barriers, hurdles that are currently existing in 27 EU member states. And we published in March 2020 our AI report that explores the impact of artificial intelligence on healthcare practitioners. And it outlines the implications and obstacles for scaling AI in healthcare organizations and systems. So now we decided, based on this AI report outcomes, to organize a Pan-European think tank roundtable series. This process already started in the last couple of months in Germany, in Poland, in Denmark, in UK, Ireland, Belgium, Netherlands, and so on. Thanks to our board of experts with our think tank advisory board members. And in France, it will take place on the following month, on 6th of November, with AI for Health collaboration, from which Stéphanie Trang will act as a co-moderator, and with the support of the Health Data Hub in France. With our partners, so as you know, in France there is already a certified AI hub that has been certified by the French government, 4. And by chance, 3 of those artificial intelligence institutes are member of the ITLs. So with the support of those artificial intelligence institute that has been recently certified by the government, with the Health Data Hub, our individual partners, healthcare providers, university hospital, we will organize this think tank roundtable with some concrete expectations, outcomes, in order to outline a plan of action at the national level to fully embrace the potential of AI and encourage the adoptions of AI in France and in the other European countries, by a single way to proceed. At first, to identify what is currently working well.
Yeah, and there are lots of things are working well.
Yeah. Instead of blaming ourselves as usual. So what is working well actually at the moment, and if those things are working well in EU member states, trying to scale those best practices in the over EU member states, so in a quick win manner. And we will do the same in return with the other collocation centers at the ITL's level on the cross-border manner. So the first step is a kind of a big, quick win guidelines in between different EU member states to help and support our partners to tackle the already existing hurdles, or to apply and deploy already existing best practices in EU member states that are quite easily deployable in some other regulation systems in Europe. And as I told you at the beginning of the interventions, the access to finance is something which is crucial, obviously. So evidence-based medicine, safe solutions, and access to finance. So I would like to raise only one concrete example, and I will finish on that. As you have heard in the last couple of months, we have faced an amazing situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic situations. EITLs launched on February a huge call for project in Europe with the EITL's members, academic partners, industrial, university, startups, incubators, accelerators, data lake, and so on and so forth. So this call was namely COVID-19 rapid response, with a critical pathway to identify potential promising projects that would be able to deliver concrete solutions at the end of 2020, between February and December 2020. So one of the concrete projects, we received 165 project proposal, and one of the project that has been selected based on the 27 projects that has been selected to be financed by EITLs is a really amazing one that is actually raising all the aspects we are currently talking about. So it's a COVID-19 rapid response project that produces already significant results. So it's a project which is namely called Digital Control Center for COVID-19, developed by researchers at Hospital Clinic Barcelona IDI BIPS. So it's a specific artificial intelligence hub alongside the University Hospital. And they developed AI solutions capable of analyzing in real time more than 1 trillion anonymized data points for COVID-19 patients, identifying clinical patterns accordingly to the data they have crunched, and suggesting personalized treatment. So it's AI-based solutions that help the physicians to adapt, at first to stratify the patients and to adapt the treatment regimens for specific patients. So the solution at the end provides a real-time control center for all COVID-19 patients admitted to a hospital, under the supervision, obviously, of an expert in infectious disease. And a recent study has been published within the Journal of Clinical Infectious Disease, has demonstrated that these solutions and the use of such an AI tool gathered significant reduction in mortality rates among hospitalized COVID-19 patients, including elderly and at-risk patients, with a reduction of mortality at 50%. Which is an amazing outcome from a primary endpoint on only 9 months. So actually,
things are going quickly.
Yeah, quickly, doable. And now the question is how we're able to scale such an innovation. So as it's a B2B model, from a business model perspective, these solutions will be supported by EITLs to be developed at scale with our colleagues at the Over Collocation Center. In Spain, in Netherlands, in Belgium, and in Germany as well, thanks to some university hospitals that are willing to get access to such a solution.
So a lot of great news really in terms of unleashing this potential. Maybe we can sort of look at some of the positive initiatives that are happening across Europe. Perhaps David, you can give us some idea of what you see from your perspective.
Yes, I think I can just echo what Jean-Marc said. I think we need to keep in mind that the topic is not topics that can be handled by just one group or one person or one organization. I think artificial intelligence is based on the partnership level. So I think it's critical that we understand that for the regulation, but also all the projects that are coming to life. This is projects that are based in partnership with different type of people like startups. Now with Amgen, I think we are a small nice player, and again, all the projects that we are doing to try to optimize the way that our patients are managed, but also how we can understand the disease environment, like in cancer, and trying to optimize the mutation cancer testing by using artificial intelligence, by doing new NGS. So Philippe Menu bring this aspect of using different type of data to improve the capacity of physician to take the right action at the right moment. In fact, it's a day-to-day business, and I'm very, very happy to see all these projects coming to life. But these projects are most of the time projects that are done by a lot of different actors. So I think the role of a company like Amgen is to support this ecosystem and to support a company like you are all in this panel, to support the way that we can create a more sustainable, robust quality environment to modify concrete outcome. As we said, without an unmet medical need, there is nothing. In fact, we can just play with fancy data. The reality is we need to solve something that have a concrete impact. So I think the Philips example is nice because how we create value. And in fact, Michael Porter defined value by doing the value-based healthcare approach by improving the quality under the cost. And for all these AI projects, they need to create value by improving these two aspects. So Amgen is now working with our own internal platform that is a mix of internal capability and external world. As you said, the talent is also crucial. We are now training a lot of engineers and scientists to understand what is artificial intelligence, how we can bring artificial intelligence to science, but also to the industrial mode. It will take some time because it's a lot of educations. We need to help our university to have good program that will answer all these questions. So I'm extremely optimistic on the future. Now, again, I think it's a common effort. It's not the efforts of one company, but it's an effort of an ecosystem driving the future of this important topic.
Thank you, David. So now we're going to, just as a last chapter in this round table, talk about, what we need to focus on now. Obviously, there's lots of challenges ahead of us, but what, for you, each member of the panel, which obviously I think for Jean-Marc could be regulation, but for each one of you, a lot of passion out there, a lot of initiatives, but there's also an urgency that I saw in that film. There is an urgency to work together to find solutions. But where do you think we should be focusing?
Well, I think maybe the healthcare reimbursement system should take more risk. We talk about regulation, but it's not the biggest issue. I think the value cannot be demonstrated for a single player. It's maybe at the level of one hospital or a complete care pathway for a patient. So it's difficult to prove. It's difficult to show the value. So I think reimbursement bodies could be, if they are private or public, so depending on the countries, you have different situations, but they should be a bit more daring, maybe use more at-risk model to, invest and give a chance to all those tools. So I think we should encourage those, and maybe as citizens, we can also push them to be a bit more, daring. Of course, not putting at stake the safety of patients, but at least from the economic side, be a bit more daring. Maybe, push new models themselves and adopt more risk.
Henrik,
that was exactly my topic. So, fully agree. And I think, at least in Germany, we understood that we have to adapt our reimbursement models. That we need to look at healthcare not just at the specific actions done by a physician, which he or she gets paid for, but really at the outcomes, at the quality. This will take time, unfortunately, but I want to share some good news on the way towards this evolution. Yesterday, we had already a phenomenal launch of the VCOE on a European level, and today we had the first 2 digital health applications being approved by the German BfArM, that's the FDA equivalent, to be prescribed by any German physician to any statutory insured citizen of Germany. These are 73 million. So from now on, any German physician can prescribe qualified digital health applications to their patients. And that is something that's absolutely new for our system. Those solutions can be prescribed, although the clinical evidence is not there yet. There's a clear pathway towards it, but it would take some more time. Yet the solutions are out and can be put to use. So this is a glimpse of hope that within the system, even as rigid as the German one, we are starting to be a bit more agile. We are starting to give solutions a chance to get some reimbursement in their qualification process so that we can learn from those solutions while they are in practice. Yes, they are all CE certified products and so on. But for me, this is really a glimpse of hope that systems, also the European ones, can adapt. And we always look at the US and think they know how the world works and they are so much ahead of us. But to be honest, their healthcare system is not the best. The challenge to get into the system is much lower, but normally you only get then deals with single HMOs. And this does not mean that you have the entire US market conquered. So I would always also look to Europe. We have those lighthouses now in place. And maybe my last example, data access was a challenge often mentioned by the startups. GDPR is very rigid in France and especially in Germany, but the same GDPR framework is applied in Finland, completely different. There, all data that is generated in the healthcare system by citizens is accessible for research. And you cannot opt out of this framework. So this is an example. If you are a startup working in AI and you see that in your country, it's very difficult, for example, to access health data and analyze and aggregate it. Look beyond. There may be other European markets that are very beneficial in terms of that. You can still work from France and develop your products there, but maybe try then the Finnish data sets.
Thank you, Henrik. And so before we move to a conclusion, we're going to ask all the panelists to conclude. Frédéric, Jean, peut-être you would like to say something about where we should be focusing.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think the previous speakers have provided a pretty clear overview of the situation, that there is a lot of innovation in the field of the regulation, and we see public players thinking with other stakeholders about facilitating and structuring the solution. For sure, one point is that the business model of these new technologies is to be built. Probably, and I'm pretty sure that the medical economic evaluation can be a good basis to justify a cost of use, cost of goods plus profit. Stakeholders are free to imagine performance-based payment offering a sharing of the value generated by the provider and the partners who trust him to use his solution. And my general thought is that AI must focus on the problem of the patient and doctors for a good integration. Medical use must drive the design and the use of algorithms and must centered on patient and doctors. In that way, the market acceptance will be optimized. And it's my conclusion.
Thank you, Frédéric. Now we're going to turn to the panelists and ask, each one of the panelists to come up with a word, a sentence, as short and as dynamic as possible as to how they think we can unleash the potential of AI together.
Yeah, so my dream would
Let's dream together,
my dream
Jean-Marc.
would be getting access to a top-down mechanisms that allow the European-based healthcare AI-based solution provider to be assessed at the European level. And let's say a BARDA-like mechanisms, as you have heard during the grand opening session from our president, who plead on the interest to put in place a BARDA-like organization in Europe. And my bottom-up dream would be risk-sharing AI-based solution approach. I mean, it would be nice if the payer would be willing to pay for solutions that are already proved that they are safe. And later on, the solution has to demonstrate the economic impact and social impact. And in case of success, the solution is definitively reimbursed. In case of failure, the industrial partners reimburse the public organization.
Stéphane.
Well, we talk a lot about reimbursement, and of course, it's a main goal here, but we need to work on deployment. Because if you have something that's reimbursed but cannot be deployed, or if it's too costly to get IT deployment done, and we are seeing it everywhere, and maybe half of the startups I'm talking to who are developing AI products have this issue. If interoperability, if IT deployment is slow, because the technical ground is not there. If there is no marketplace consolidated in Europe from a technical perspective, then we are doomed, as we have been doomed in the broader digital space. And we don't want this to happen again. We want a thriving digital health environment in Europe, I believe. And for that, we need to be fast in having the best consolidated ground for IoT deployment on a European scale with more interoperability. And so the public bodies have to work together to provide these bricks to make us access the market quickly and then, of course, get reimbursed.
Absolutely. Speed. Stephanie, what would be your words of conclusion? Stephanie, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. I was on mute. So I will be quick on that. I just want to celebrate something this year. Celebrate the first application that has been reimbursed, which is MoveCare. I think that is such an improvement for the healthcare medical system in France. I think that we improve in that, in the sense that there is some application like this that has been developed during 9 years by my Fabrice Denis, sorry. And this is my conclusion, is that we have to push more innovation, push more the healthcare system to reimburse this kind of application that use AI, and also push more recommendation from private companies and our ecosystem to the healthcare system. I think that this is the most important for me and for my ecosystem, AI for Health.
Thank you, Stephanie. Nicolas.
Well, I will just use one of the words of the question, together. I think let's do that together. Let's be proud of also our healthcare system. It has its drawback, but also some benefits. So share the good practice. I'm happy to hear what's going well in Germany or in Finland. So all we can leverage together, I think, will make it happen.
Henrik.
Sorry, I have some background noise here. +1 on interoperability, definitely a prerequisite. Also state-of-the-art IT systems. We're currently putting 4.3 billion euros into hospital IT because our IT environment is really bad in terms of hospitals. But I want to add adoption. If providers of AI solutions achieve a high adoption rate of their solutions, this will definitely build momentum and push to the regulatory bodies to adapt their regulation towards AI. If you don't have high adoption rates and only single cases, I guess it's difficult to show your benefit.
Thank you. So over to David now for the final words of conclusion.
It's a big responsibility. Well, I will say 4 words. Why not inventing something that is a value-based artificial intelligence? Let's try to make this, as everybody said, because in this panel you have probably one of the most knowledgeable people in artificial intelligence. So interoperability, infrastructure, outcome-based. So why not creating a sort of group of value-based artificial intelligence for the benefits of our patients? I think is the most important, putting the patients at the center.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to all the panelists. I think we've had a step forward in unleashing artificial intelligence together, the potential. And we're now going to move on to the closing ceremony for these 2 days. Jean-Marc, you're going to stay on stage because I'm going to invite Marie-Yvonne Jans to come on stage. And Stéphane and Nicolas and myself, we will step down for the final closing ceremony of these 2 days, which I hope you've all enjoyed. All those that were courageous enough to be present here. So, Marie-Yvonne.